As he told me one time, the only thing a woman can do for him is make him a sandwich. We would have brutal arguments about the fact that I am your equal. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion.
In a surprising twist, Trump's legal team claims a game-changing discovery about Fani Willis, the prosecutor in the Trump case. Recent revelations have surfaced, suggesting a potential shift in the legal battleground. Buckle up as we unravel the latest bombshell that could reshape the dynamics of the legal saga involving former President Donald Trump. Alleged bias prompts calls for Willis's removal. A scandal has rocked the legal world and sent shockwaves through the Fulton County District Attorney's office. Allegations of bias and a potential conflict of interest have emerged, prompting calls for the removal of District Attorney Fani Willis. It all centers around her alleged romantic relationship with Special Counsel Nathan Wade, who was hired to assist in the prosecution of former President Donald Trump. The Trump legal team has released eyebrow-raising phone data that raises questions about the timeline of Willis's relationship with Wade. It all starts with Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, a prominent figure in the legal community. But her reputation is now tarnished by allegations of bias and a potential conflict of interest. The focus of these allegations: Special Counsel Nathan Wade, the trial attorney Willis hired to assist in the prosecution of former President Donald Trump on state charges of election interference. According to shocking revelations from the Trump legal team, Wade allegedly visited Willis's home on numerous occasions between April 1st, 2021 and November 30th, 2021. But it's not just the frequency of these visits that raises eyebrows. It's the timing and the nature of their encounters that have sparked controversy. Wade's visits to Willis's condo were no ordinary social calls. He would arrive late at night and stay until the early hours of the morning. The Trump legal team, armed with cell phone data subpoenaed from AT&T, claims that Wade's phone connected for an extended period to the cell towers nearest Willis's residence in the Atlanta suburb of Hapeville. An 8-page affidavit filed in Fulton County Superior Court by Trump attorneys Steve Sato and Jennifer Little reveals a minimum of 35 occasions when Wade's phone was stationary and not in transit, indicating that he spent significant time at Willis's condo. These figures, described as conservative by criminal defense investigator Charles Middlestat, highlight the intensity of their alleged relationship. The Trump legal team's filing does not include the raw data used for Middlestat's analysis, making it difficult to independently verify the claims. However, the implications of these allegations are staggering. If true, they could undermine the integrity of the case against Donald Trump and raise serious questions about the ethics of both Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. During his testimony, Wade attempted to downplay the significance of his visits to Willis's home. He claimed to have been there fewer than 10 times prior to his hiring in November 2021. But when Trump's attorney Steve Sato suggested that phone records might tell a different story, Wade dismissed the idea, insisting that they would be wrong. Wade's testimony raises doubts about the truthfulness of his statements. If the phone records contradict his claims, it could have severe consequences for his credibility and potentially lead to allegations of perjury. Willis, on the other hand, maintained that the only person to ever stay overnight at her residence was one of her daughters. She denied any romantic involvement with Wade prior to 2022, contradicting the claims made by Robin Yurdy, a former friend of Willis's, who testified that she believed the relationship began in 2019. The Trump legal team is now seeking to have Willis removed from the case, arguing that her hiring of her purported boyfriend is disqualifying under ethics guidelines. If the allegations of bias in a romantic relationship are proven true, both Willis and Wade could face serious consequences, including potential perjury charges. It's important to note that experts caution against relying too heavily on circumstantial evidence generated by cell phone tracking data. While the phone records may raise suspicions, they may not provide a complete picture of the situation. The truth behind these allegations remains to be seen. The explosive revelations of the alleged bias and potential conflict of interest have sent shockwaves through the legal community and beyond. The implications of these allegations are far-reaching and could have significant consequences for the case against former President Donald Trump. The Trump legal team is seeking to have Willis removed from the case, arguing that her hiring of her purported boyfriend is disqualifying under ethics guidelines. They claim that the alleged bias compromises the integrity of the prosecution and undermines the pursuit of justice. If successful, this could have a profound impact on the trial and potentially lead to its dismissal or a mistrial. On the other hand, Willis and Wade have both testified under oath that they did not start dating until 2022, contradicting the claims made by Robin Yurdy, a former friend of Willis's. If it is revealed that their testimony is false, both individuals could face allegations of perjury, which carry serious legal consequences. The reactions to these allegations have been swift and varied. Supporters of Fani Willis argue that the Trump legal team is grasping at straws in an attempt to discredit her and derail the case against Donald Trump. They believe that the allegations of bias are unfounded and merely a tactic to undermine the prosecution. However, critics of Willis argue that her alleged relationship with Wade raises serious concerns about her judgment and impartiality. They question whether she can objectively carry out her duties as a prosecutor when there is a personal connection to the case. They argue that the potential bias compromises the fairness of the trial and undermines the public's trust in the justice system. The public's reaction to these allegations has been mixed. Some are shocked and outraged, viewing the alleged bias as a betrayal of the public's trust. They demand accountability and transparency, calling for a thorough investigation into the matter. Others are more skeptical, believing that the allegations are politically motivated and designed to distract from the real issues at hand. Legal experts have weighed in on the situation, offering their insights into the potential consequences of the alleged bias. Some argue that even if the relationship between Willis and Wade did not begin until 2022, the frequent visits and extended periods of time spent together raise questions about the objectivity of the prosecution. They believe that the appearance of bias alone could be enough to warrant Willis's removal from the case. However, others caution against jumping to conclusions based solely on circumstantial evidence. They emphasize the importance of a thorough investigation and the need for concrete evidence to substantiate the allegations. They argue that relying solely on cell phone data may not provide a complete picture of the situation, and that additional evidence is necessary to make an informed judgment. Fulton Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee now faces the difficult task of deciding whether to admit the phone data analysis into evidence. His decision will have far-reaching implications for the trial and the careers of those involved. The eyes of the nation are on him as he weighs the evidence and considers the potential consequences of the alleged bias. As the scandal continues to unfold, the fate of Fani Willis and Nathan Wade hangs in the balance. The outcome of this case will not only determine their professional futures, but also shape the public's perception of the justice system. The stakes are high, and the consequences are profound. Who is Fani Willis? Fani Willis, the first woman to hold the esteemed position of district attorney in Fulton County, has become a prominent figure in the legal landscape. From her early career as a prosecutor to her groundbreaking election as district attorney, Fani's journey is marked by dedication, resilience, and a commitment to justice. Born in 1971 in Inglewood, California, Fani's upbringing played a pivotal role in shaping her character. Her father, John C. Floyd III, a former Black Panther, instilled in her a deep respect for justice. Despite her parents' divorce, Fani found guidance in her father's commitment to the pursuit of justice. Educated at Regina High School in Maryland, Fani's passion for learning and excellence emerged. Her journey continued at Howard University, where she pursued political science, graduating cum laude in 1993. Fani's experiences at Howard solidified her desire to make a meaningful impact on society through a career in law. Moving to Atlanta, Fani attended Emory University School of Law, graduating in 1996 with a Juris Doctor degree. Equipped with legal knowledge and a passion for justice, Fani began her career as a solicitor, prosecuting misdemeanors and gaining valuable courtroom experience. Joining the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, Fani spent 16 years as a prosecutor, handling diverse cases. Notably, she led the prosecution in the Atlanta Public Schools cheating scandal, showcasing her legal prowess. The trial resulted in significant convictions under Georgia's RICO statute, solidifying Fani's reputation as a formidable prosecutor. Venturing into private practice in 2018, Fani later ran for a seat on the Fulton County Superior Court in 2019. Despite an unsuccessful bid, she continued her legal career. In 2020, Fani made history by defeating a six-term incumbent to become Fulton County's district attorney, the first woman to do so. In her role, Fani fearlessly utilized Georgia's RICO statute to prosecute non-mobsters, drawing attention and criticism. Her commitment to justice extended beyond local cases, notably leading an investigation into the 2020 presidential election. This investigation resulted in indictments against Donald Trump and 18 alleged co-conspirators, establishing Fani as a prosecutor unafraid to challenge powerful figures. Fani's impact on Fulton County's justice system is evident in her innovative approach in significant cases. Her use of the RICO statute to address complex legal matters and hold individuals accountable has brought justice to those who might have evaded it. Beyond high-profile cases, Fani implemented reforms to enhance the justice system's efficiency and equity. A vocal advocate for criminal justice reform, she strives for fairness and transparency. Fani's efforts have earned her respect within the legal community and from the public, but is it about to change? Willis's poor judgment risks case credibility. In the world of high-stakes legal battles where the pursuit of justice hangs in the balance, one would expect the utmost professionalism and integrity from those involved. However, in the case of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and her lead prosecutor Nathan Wade, their poor judgment and ill-fated romance have cast a dark shadow over the election interference racketeering case against former President Trump and his supporters. It all started innocently enough. Willis, a seasoned attorney with a reputation for her tenacity and dedication, sought the assistance of an outside prosecutor to help oversee this complex and politically charged case. Enter Nathan Wade, a legal professional known for his sharp intellect and courtroom prowess. Little did they know that their professional collaboration would soon take a turn down a treacherous path. As the case progressed, Willis and Wade found themselves drawn to each other, their shared passion for the law evolving into something more. They embarked on a romantic relationship, believing that their personal connection would not interfere with their professional duties, but they couldn't have been more wrong. It's truly baffling that two experienced attorneys, officers of the court, would allow their personal feelings to cloud their judgment in such a critical case. The potential for conflicts of interest and compromised integrity is undeniable. This kind of relationship raises serious questions about the fairness and impartiality of the prosecution. It opens the door for the defense to challenge the credibility of the entire case, claiming bias and favoritism, and that's precisely what happened. Willis's failure to disclose her romantic involvement with Wade provided her opponents with a golden opportunity to attack her credibility and integrity. They argued that her personal relationship with the lead prosecutor created an inherent conflict of interest, compromising the fairness of the trial. The defense seized upon this revelation, painting Willis as a prosecutor driven by personal motives rather than a commitment to justice. They argued that her judgment had been clouded by her romantic entanglement and that she was more interested in protecting her lover than pursuing the truth. It's clear that Willis's decision to engage in a romantic relationship with the lead prosecutor was a grave error in judgment. It undermines the credibility of the entire case and raises doubts about her ability to fairly and impartially prosecute the defendants. The consequences of Willis's poor judgment are far-reaching. If the court determines that her relationship with Wade compromised the integrity of the case, it could lead to her disqualification as the lead prosecutor. This would not only throw the trial into disarray, but could potentially result in the dismissal of the charges against Trump and his supporters. As the election interference racketeering case against former President Trump and his supporters unfolds, the courtroom became a stage for high drama and intense scrutiny. All eyes were on Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis as she took the stand to defend herself against allegations of compromised integrity. Her testimony became a pivotal moment in the case, with the potential to either restore faith in the prosecution or further erode its credibility. Dressed in a vibrant hot pink dress, Willis strode into the courtroom, ready to face her opponents head-on. The tension in the air was palpable as she prepared to give her account of the ill-fated romance with Nathan Wade and address the allegations of impropriety. "I have been very anxious to have this conversation today," Willis declared, her voice filled with determination. "I am not a hostile witness. I very much want to be here." Willis's testimony was captivating, yet maddening. She refused to give simple yes or no answers, insisting on lengthy explanations to counter what she perceived as lies and misinformation. Her combative demeanor and folksy personal anecdotes only served to further polarize the courtroom. Willis's testimony became a double-edged sword. On one hand, her passionate defense and refusal to back down may have resonated with some jurors, portraying her as a strong and determined prosecutor. On the other hand, her hostility and evasive responses could be interpreted as a lack of transparency and credibility. Throughout her testimony, Willis vehemently denied the allegations made by defense attorney Ashley Merchant, who first raised the conflict of interest question. She accused Merchant of lying repeatedly about the timeline of her relationship with Wade and of making false claims about their living arrangements and free trips. The courtroom became a battleground as Willis and Merchant engaged in a war of words. Accusations flew, tempers flared, and the truth became increasingly elusive. Willis's aggressive approach may have been a strategic move to protect herself and salvage the case. By attacking the credibility of the defense attorney, She aimed to undermine the allegations against her and maintain control over the narrative. However, Willis's refusal to provide straightforward answers to simple questions drew admonitions from the judge. Her insistence on lengthy and contextual responses only added fuel to the fire, leaving many to question her credibility and the validity of her testimony. The courtroom became a theater of contradictions, with Willis simultaneously captivating and frustrating the audience. Her folksy anecdotes and personal insights into her relationship with Wade offered glimpses into their dynamic, but they also raised eyebrows and further fueled speculation. Willis's decision to share personal details about her relationship with Wade may have had unintended consequences. While she may have believed it humanized her and added context, it also opened the door for further scrutiny and potential attacks on her character. The courtroom drama reached its peak when Willis accused Trump's attorney Steve Sato of displaying a race or class gap during their exchange. Sato's questioning about her cash hoard and her father's testimony about hiding cash stirred controversy and highlighted the deep divisions within the courtroom. The impact of Willis's testimony on the case was yet to be determined. While some may have viewed her passionate defense as a sign of strength, others questioned her judgment and ability to effectively prosecute this high-profile case. Willis's testimony undoubtedly added another layer of complexity to an already contentious case. The jury's perception of her credibility and integrity played a crucial role in determining the outcome of this trial. Would Willis's testimony be enough to restore faith in the prosecution, or would it further undermine the case's credibility? The answers lay within the minds of the jurors and the decisions of the court. Legal implications if Willis disqualified. As we mentioned earlier, legal experts have indicated that if Fani Willis is disqualified, it could have significant implications for the case. Firstly, it would likely result in a delay in the trial proceedings. Currently, there is no scheduled trial date, but if Willis is disqualified, it would further prolong the legal process. This delay could extend well beyond the 2024 election, potentially impacting the political landscape surrounding the case. Moreover, if Fani Willis is disqualified, her entire office would also be disqualified. This means that a new prosecutor would need to be appointed to handle the case. Given the complexity and scale of the 15-defendant case, this would be a massive undertaking. The new prosecutors would have to familiarize themselves with the extensive evidence, witness testimonies, and legal arguments that have been compiled over the course of the investigation. This process alone could take a significant amount of time, further contributing to the delays in the trial. Under a 2022 Georgia law, when a district attorney is disqualified, the case is referred to the executive director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. This individual is responsible for finding another prosecutor to take over the case. The selection process involves considering factors such as resources, capability, expertise, and financial capacity. It is crucial to find a prosecutor who can handle the magnitude of the case and make informed decisions based on the evidence presented. However, finding a suitable replacement for Fani Willis is not a simple task. The new prosecutor would need to have the necessary resources and capabilities to handle such a high-profile case. The larger the case, the more expenses are involved, including personnel, expertise, and financial resources. The geographic location of the prosecutor's office would also be a consideration, as proximity to the case site could impact efficiency. Additionally, the caseload of potential prosecutors would need to be taken into account to ensure they can dedicate sufficient time and attention to this complex case. The executive director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia, Pete Skandalakis, has emphasized the importance of finding a neutral arbiter who can make decisions based on the evidence. While the law does not allow a district attorney to refuse an appointment, it is crucial to find someone willing to take on the assignment. The selection process must prioritize neutrality and a commitment to upholding justice. In addition to various district attorneys' offices, Skandalakis could choose to keep the case within his own office, assign it to the state attorney general's office, or even appoint a private lawyer as special counsel. However, financial constraints may make the last option less likely. Appointing a private lawyer would require paying them at the hourly rate of an elected district attorney, which is approximately $70 per hour. This limitation could impact the ability to hire additional support, such as investigators, which may be necessary for a case of this magnitude. Once a new prosecutor is appointed, they would have the authority to use the investigative work already completed by Fani Willis's office. However, they would also have the discretion to conduct additional investigations and make decisions about the charges brought against the defendants. This means that the new prosecutor could choose to amend the charges or even decide not to pursue the case further. The fate of the prosecution would be in their hands. To summarize, if Fani Willis is disqualified from the Trump racketeering case, the potential delays and challenges that could arise are significant. The trial proceedings would likely be delayed, potentially extending well beyond the 2024 election. Finding a suitable replacement prosecutor would be a complex task, considering the resources, capabilities, and expertise required. The new prosecutor would have the authority to make decisions about the charges and could even choose not to pursue the case further. As the legal proceedings continue to unfold, the future of this high-profile case remains uncertain. Trump Georgia election case. Former President Donald Trump and 18 co-defendants have been indicted for leading a criminal racketeering enterprise to unlawfully change the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential election in Georgia. The charges include violating Georgia's Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations (RICO) statute, solicitation of false statements, forgery, and election fraud. This high-profile case has captured national attention and is set to be heard in the Fulton County Superior Court. First and foremost, former President Donald Trump has been indicted for a fourth time, this time over what prosecutors in Atlanta described as his efforts to unlawfully undo his election loss in Georgia in 2020. The indictment includes a staggering 13 charges against Trump, making it one of the most significant legal battles in recent history. But Trump is not alone in this case. Charges have also been filed against 18 of his allies, including some prominent figures in his inner circle. One crucial aspect of this case is that Trump and his allies have been charged under Georgia's Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act, commonly known as the RICO Act. This statute allows prosecutors to link various crimes committed by different individuals by arguing that they were acting together for a common criminal goal. To prove their case, prosecutors must establish the existence of an enterprise and a pattern of racketeering activity. This legal strategy adds a layer of complexity to the proceedings and sets the stage for a dramatic courtroom battle. Among the 18 Trump allies charged in this case are Rudolph Giuliani, the former New York City mayor and Trump's personal lawyer, and Mark Meadows, the former White House chief of staff. These individuals played significant roles in Trump's post-election efforts to challenge the results. Additionally, several other lawyers, including John Eastman and Sidney Powell, are also facing charges for their alleged involvement in attempting to overturn the election outcome. The charges in this case can be categorized into several baskets, each revealing a different aspect of the alleged criminal activities. Firstly, several individual counts stem from false claims of election fraud that Giuliani and two other Trump lawyers made at legislative hearings in December 2020. These false claims, made under oath, have had far-reaching consequences and have fueled the narrative of a stolen election. Another batch of charges revolves around a plan to vote for a false slate of pro-Trump electors. This scheme aimed to undermine the legitimacy of the electoral process and install a group of electors who would favor Trump. The audacity of such a plan is truly astonishing, as it strikes at the heart of our democratic system. But the alleged criminal activities don't stop there. A third raft of charges accuses several Trump allies of conspiring to steal voter data and tamper with voting equipment in Coffee County, Georgia. These actions, if proven, would represent a direct attack on the integrity of our electoral system and the trust we place in it. As we navigate through this case, it becomes increasingly clear that the implications go far beyond the individuals involved. The Trump Georgia election case has become a symbol of the broader effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. It raises fundamental questions about the sanctity of our democratic process and the accountability of those in power. The shocking allegations and the high-profile nature of this case have captivated the nation. The eyes of the world are on the Fulton County Superior Court as it prepares to hear this historic trial. The outcome of this case could have far-reaching consequences for the future of elections in the United States and the rule of law. The Trump Georgia election case has brought to light shocking allegations of a criminal racketeering enterprise aimed at unlawfully changing the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential election in Georgia. Former President Donald Trump and 18 of his allies face a barrage of charges, including violating Georgia's RICO Act, solicitation of false statements, forgery, and election fraud. The key takeaways from this case include the extensive involvement of Trump's inner circle, such as Rudolph Giuliani and Mark Meadows, the various baskets of charges ranging from false claims of election fraud to conspiring to steal voter data, and the potential implications for election integrity and legal accountability. As this high-profile trial unfolds, the nation watches with bated breath, recognizing the significance of this case in shaping the future of our democracy. This was all from our side. Thank you for staying with us. If you enjoy our content, our newest videos are just a click away.